Everybody, how you doing and welcome back. If you like the video, make sure you hit the like button, share it with your friends, share it with everybody that you can because, I believe this channel is a lot more concrete, solid information from a player's perspective and from just a normal average player's perspective because the truth is, if you follow along with a lot of things that I'm saying, you're going to get better. You're going to be I don't mean you're going to get better like you're sick or whatever. I mean, you're going to start executing the shots and the motions that need to happen to turn your swing from this dynamic, stagnant BS positions that they try to teach us into a dynamic flowing motion that allows you to accelerate your learning curve. So if you could just go ahead, hit the like button, subscribe button, all that stuff, it's a win-win for both of us. So it's all pretty cool. Okay. Now, in this video, we're going to talk about the tucking of the elbow. And see, a lot of you have heard me talk about the orbit of the elbow, right? So when we're talking about the orbit of the elbow, I've been telling us, make the takeaway. The orbit of the elbow is going this way. The hands follow. And when I get to the top, you can see that there's air, that there is this gap of air between my elbow and my rib cage. So right here with this gap, what we have to do is most people, when they come down, they pull the hands, and even though that looks like a really good line to be on, because we're pulling the hands down, it doesn't allow what needs to happen with this gap in between us, okay? So what I mean by this is, this is a very body-triggered understanding of how everything ties together in this kinematic sequence from the muscle structure. The muscle structure is then going to, respond to the skeletal structure, and it's all just going to work from the inside out, okay? So to tuck this elbow in, what everybody's going to do is they're going to go here, and they're going to say, oh, I got to tuck this elbow in, like in that you've all seen me doing the drill with Mr. Hogan. This is not forced. It's just what's going to happen. But here's the key, okay? When I go take away, I go to the top. The second I've rebalanced, my foot plants, and when my foot plants from my shoulder to my elbow, I'm closing the distance. So all of a sudden it's foot plants, and as it plants, I'm closing the distance. That is this gap right here from the shoulder to the elbow, and there you go. That kind of look like, oh my God, I'm going to kill the ball. But what happens for most people, they'll get to the top and they don't close the distance. See how there's still air here? So they start coming down with the hands. Nope. And then they start coming through. Now it's in the wrong position. So the way it works, we're at the top. Now I'm not going to move my lower body just so you can see it. It's close. You have to close the distance from the shoulder to the elbow, doink, and then you could start going into rotation, okay? So when you guys watch me, this is how I'm doing it. I'm getting here, take away. Now I've let the elbow win the race. There's a little bit of air. So when I turn, look what I'm doing. I'm closing the distance from the shoulder to the elbow, which then look what it does to me shallowing the club, which is funny. So all of a sudden it's gone, did I shallow the club? Oh yeah, I did. Is that club on my right form? Yes. Yes, because I am not doing this with pulling my hands. I'm not here and pointing the butt of the club at the golf ball, because look what that does to my hands. Here, pull. Now my hands have done this. And if I turn and look at you and I move my left arm, there is still space between my elbow and my rib cage. So now when I'm doing what I'm doing, because I'm really explaining to you guys, look at this. My elbow is now in line with my hip. But if I pull my hands and I don't create that gap, my elbow is now in front of my hip. So I'm just letting all this happen. Close the gap. And when I close the gap, look at how all that is staying in this loaded, just incredible position to allow me to come into the ball. close the gap. The way the swing works from the outside in, think about it, they're teaching it from the outside in. Pay attention to club face, pay attention to the club, pay attention to all this garbage that's happening in front of you from the outside in. What we are doing is controlling it from the inside out. So when we move it to, there's our takeaway. I did this with me. The club is just following. Oh, went to the next point. Left arm parallel. Being done with my body. My body is clearing a path for the hands to follow. I get to the top. So now when I come down from the inside out would be shoulder to the elbow. Then all of a sudden I'm turning. Then it comes through. Now the elbow has created this 90-degree relationship between the shoulder, the elbow, the wrist. So it's at a 90 right there, right? So all of a sudden we've closed the gap, coming to it. Look at this 90-degree angle I have with my forearm. And now it's just, it rotates. Does it, my arm get straight at impact? Absolutely not. It is still bent. It's going to stay bent as this turns down. And voila, what do you see from me? Low left with the hands. And it's not because I'm trying to go low left with the hands. Okay? Here, close the gap, go. Now, when we do it in real life, it's going to be here. There's the recentering. Now, a second I pressurize the left foot back into the ground, right? So it's like this. But while it's pressuring in the heels, finding the ground again, I am closing the gap at the same time. Close the gap. Foot, see how my heel's up, guys? And that's an exaggeration. So we're here. It's just hovering. It's just hovering. And then all of a sudden it contacts. And the second it contacts, close the gap. And you've got to close it that fast because now I can just push through the shot. All right? Hopefully that's going to help you. I hope it does. All right, guys. We'll see you in the next video.